How's it going, everybody? DJ K DuB Omaha, Wired Axcess podcast with the All Axcess Granted.
I didn't want that to be the standard. I didn't want someone else in the room to set the standard. I always wanted to do that.
The journey to get there, I think, is something, that is amazing, Nick.
Let's get this podcast started.
That's right. It is Wired Axcess, All Axcess Granted, and we are really starting to get things back going now that the Omaha Beef are done for the 2026 season. Of course, this is season 2, episode 41 already, and I want to greatly thank Character Chronicles for picking us up. You can check us out on characterchronicles.com. So why not, being on a Husker channel, not bring on other future Huskers? And I know if you have followed this channel, you have seen that we have brought on other class of 2027 Huskers. And I wasn't really, when I started Wired Axcess, I wasn't really all about trying to interview future Huskers because they get a lot of coverage. Everybody wants to talk to them. A lot of people are talking to them. But when I saw this 2027 class, it just hit me differently. They were trying to make a difference. They're trying to change what everybody thinks they know about young athletes, especially in this day and age of social media. They think people want the clout. They think they want this. But when I tell you, I feel honestly, and I hope today our guest will agree with it, the 2027 class is looking to help the classes before them, but really set the stone differently for Matt Rule and the legacy that's going to go down here for the Huskers in 2027. And speaking of legacy, we got Barrett Kitrell on today. His dad is a former Husker. His brother's a former Husker, but he's a son of one of four that is nothing but breeds football. Barrett, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You know, I was blessed enough this last year, and those that know, I try to go out on Friday or Thursday nights and cover games. And for once this last year, and, I actually got to cover a couple different classes besides Class A and Class B.
Yeah.
Came out to the good old Ashland-Greenwood area, that field. And just as I've said before with the Class D with Johnson Brock, what your stadium does to me there is it brings back football memories. It makes you really feel the atmosphere. And of course, I think it breeds everything that Husker football has always been about.
Yeah.
Blue collar, hard work, not all about everything that's social. It's all about everything that you guys do there in Ashland-Greenwood. And when you look at your history and everything that you obviously have in your family, is that not the memo or the message that your dad has always kind of portrayed to you guys when it came to who you guys are when it comes to football, but even outside of football, always doing something to stay busy and stay active?
Yeah, I mean, my dad's just preached from a young age, all of us, like, you're not going to be handed things. Especially, I mean, Ashland-Greenwood's a great program, but it's a smaller C1 program, so sometimes it gets overlooked, especially in the recruiting aspect. And so in everything that you do, first of all, we're faith-based, and so do for that, but you got to work hard. So you got to get noticed. Maybe you do track and you put good track times, and you do all three sports, stay busy. Basketball, help with your footwork in every position in football, and so just doing things like that, and eating right. He's obviously really helped me with that, and he's been a really good role model for just kind of the way that all of our brothers have worked, and how we've kind of achieved, I guess, what our dreams have been. And I think that we've had some success, and I think that we kind of attribute that to my dad.
You, of course, look at your brothers ahead of you who have had college experience between Ohio, Tulsa, and, of course, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And you look at the stuff that they've done ahead of you. What's some of the major things that you were able to take? Because sometimes when it is a band of brothers, or, it's not always easy to latch on to what everybody is doing, because you don't want to follow in their footsteps. You want to be yourself. You want to be an individual. What's kind of been your guys' motto as a family to make sure that everybody gets their time and everybody gets their own spotlight for themselves?
Yeah, I would just say, staying humble is the biggest thing because, I've had 4 Division I brothers who've come through Ashland-Greenwood. So, maybe that puts a target on my back. Maybe that gets me people saying stuff. I don't know. I don't really try to listen to that stuff. But I would just say that my dad's always preached, like, you're not going to, yeah, kind of like I said, like, you've got to do it for yourself. And that's the only way to make your own legacy is to do it for yourself. Because, ultimately, if it's just a family thing, then you're going to be forgot about. And so, I would say that just to kind of make like a lasting thing. We've all just worked really hard ourselves and done it. Each person by themselves. And I'd say the big thing for me is that I'm a lot younger than my other brothers. The fourth oldest brother, I'm the fifth oldest. The fourth oldest brother, Bryce, is 7 years older than me, so he's been out of high school for a while. And so I'd say I kind of like a fresh start. My parents sometimes joke it's like I'm kind of like a first child. Because I've kind of had to grow up a little bit on my own. Obviously, a few of them are back in town, and that's been awesome. They've been role models. But I would just say that, I've seen what they've done, and Blake started it, but the other ones have seen what Blake did, and they're like, man, we got to really work hard so we can do this for ourselves.
Well, and that's what I don't think people understand is that generational difference. Like
Yeah.
7 years is a lot of changes, a
yeah,
lot of
that's-
things, especially with all the social media. And we'll give a shout out, Matt. We greatly appreciate you joining. He says, "Sup, Barrett, 50 cal."
Yeah, what's up, Matt?
I appreciate you guys joining. When you look at that situation, what's some of the things that you remember when you were younger growing up and looking up to your older brothers?
I would just say like the biggest thing was always seeing my brothers, making plays on the field at Ashland. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like, besides, Jesus Christ and my dad, my brothers were my biggest heroes. And Todd Gurley. Shout out Todd Gurley. He's the go. But I just remember watching my brothers on those Friday nights, thinking they were the coolest guys ever, just wanting to be them. And I'd be in my flag football leagues and I tried to do what they did. And so just kind of like going to those high school games, and then even when they went to college, going to those college games, I thought that was really cool. And it's just something that, like, ever since I saw that and got that vision in my mind, it's like that's been my dream to do. And be as good as them, if not better, and try to do what they did and earn a Division I scholarship. And so I've just tried to stay humble and all that, and put my head down and work a little bit.
What I like what you said there is something I think sometimes, especially with all the social media, some of the athletes could forget is they could be that superhero to people. They could be that one where someone looks to them bigger and better. And I think that's something that we've at the Omaha Beef really expressed to the players, and they really bought into what they do.
Yeah.
You know how important those fans are, those kids, and you never know when that kid's going to come down the line, no matter what your age is, as you're growing up through high school. I'm sure every camp that you've attended, you're seeing kids repeat themselves.
Mhm.
And then now as a senior coming up, they're going, that's the guy I want to be. And you're turning into what they want, but you have to do it all by example. And you've done a great job of one, allowing all of your colleges to give you the proper offer, right? Like you could have just went right away and said, here's where I am.
Yeah.
You really felt out who you were. And I think that's where we want to kind of go with this, as far as like understanding one first, when you think back to your freshman year, and you obviously know that these are things that you're looking for. Why was it football for you that you felt was going to get you to D1? And how come no other sport to be a different kid?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I was always a basketball guy. I was, pretty soft kid. I guess a lot of kids are, and I loved basketball. I love shooting threes, and I realized, man, I'm gonna be only 6'4", and I also love football. I love being, in flag football, playing all the positions. And so I was like, my brother Brett was an offensive lineman, and that was really cool. But I got to toughen up a lot, so I really worked really hard. Just getting more mobile. I was really like non flexible kid, not really elastic, couldn't move really well. So that's something I worked on, and then obviously getting stronger is a huge aspect of offensive line. And so I would just say that buying into that, like, my brothers did it, and I thought they were super cool, and I thought that what Brett did was awesome. And then once I started doing that, I fell in love with just the process of getting better. And I just fell in love with football. Obviously, I mean, you can't play Division I football if you don't love it. And I completely love football. I completely love just the everyday grind of getting better. Like right now, I have a broken wrist, and I just can't wait to get this thing off and rehab it and start getting stronger in my upper body again. And That's kind of when I knew football was the one when basketball wasn't, honestly. And I think eventually I would have realized that football was the one just because it has such long tradition in my family and that's something that I love too. But yeah.
How was mom and dad when it came to you thinking the basketball was number one? I always ask because people always think most dads are like, this is what you're gonna do, but other dads are also that other person, and then of course moms are like, man, just go be you. Go
Yeah.
do whatever you're gonna do. We're gonna trust your process and not force you into something that I think you can grow to hate more
Yeah.
than not
Yeah.
not love.
I think you said that perfect. I think that if it's forced upon you, you're gonna hate it. I think that my dad and my mom did such a good job of, I played college football. My dad played college football, and he's probably saying, I played college football. These guys played college football, but he didn't really care. He's just like, go be a kid, go do what you like. If you want to play basketball in college, that's what you want to do. Like, I'm not gonna force anything. I think deep down he probably knew eventually I'd go to football just because of the way I'm built. I'm a bigger kid, but he never was like, hey, you're a football player. You're gonna do this. And so that's why I think I love football so much because I discovered, I love football from like, for myself. And then obviously the family tradition is a cool thing, but I think that I just had to discover for myself, like, I love football and this is really what I want to do for the next 5 years.
You of course talked about your growth throughout the past couple of years of growing in your body, growing into a guy who has to find that aggression, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with being a great kid both on and off the field, but
Yeah.
you have to have that different
Yeah.
tick in order to make it in a D1 atmosphere where
Yeah.
you can't allow the little stuff. What's some things that you started growing through your high school tenure that you've been so far as was it the weight room that started packing on that mental part where you could get better? Was it the eating right? What was some things that really got you to find that inner Barrett?
I think that just kind of going from like a kid to like, a young adult, like a man, I guess. I guess I just loved hitting more. Like I just love going up to linebackers and hitting them and pancaking them. And that's just not something that I loved when I was a kid. I don't really know. I think it might just be, doing a lot of hard things and kind of realizing that, I don't want to be soft anymore. I want to be, a grown man on the field. And so I guess I just kind of realized that just maybe with time, I'd say, I was a gamer when I was a kid. I played a lot of video games. Didn't really like to, do all that. And so, but now ever since I've gotten in high school, kind of since my sophomore year, it's like, all right, this is what I love. I love to go, be tenacious on the field. And then obviously, like you said, be a good kid, be respectful, have good sportsmanship, not do anything, super dirty, but just, yeah, and have that tenacity.
You of course look at Ashland-Greenwood and the success that you guys have been able to find
Yeah.
behind your quarterback Derek.
Yeah.
You think of the leadership that he was and
Mhm.
everything that he meant to your school because
Yep.
he graduated this last year, right?
Yep. He just graduated. I actually hung out with him today a little bit. Got to talk to him for the first time in a little while, so that was really awesome.
What is he was a athlete where people were eyes on as well. How did his experience just help your team understand that this is something that you guys can continue, not just with the quarterback, but with across the board? You guys have athletes everywhere.
I would say his growth is like the biggest thing. Like his first start as a quarterback, he threw 4 interceptions and we barely squeaked out a game. We probably should have won by a little more. They're really good defense, props to them. But I would just say like Derek, that didn't phase him at all. He's a guy who didn't get too high and didn't get too low. And so he put his head down and he was the guy who just worked. And so I'd say seeing that and then the way he handled all that exposure, like you said, he had such class, and he didn't let it get to him at all. He was at the end of the day, he's just a kid, and he's the most down to earth guy ever. And I would just say those two things are really something that I've taken from Derek. And then obviously him being the quarterback, like he's had a leadership role on our team, and so he's been super vocal and he's led by example really well too. So I'd say that's really cool.
You of course look across the way and you look at all the stuff that you guys have had in success this past couple of years. What do you guys dedicate that to? What's some things that you guys are finding are working for Ashland Greenwood?
Yeah.
And what's some things that you feel, especially going in your senior season, that
Mhm.
you're going, I know we can do better here. And it's
Yeah.
not calling any of the teammates out. So if there's anybody listening, just know this is what growth is about. You're able to see things as a player and be led as a player instead of the coaches going, hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see that? Because when coaches always have to point it out and lead it, you don't get the success that you guys are seeing.
Yeah. I would think that just as to attribute to the success to our coaches, we have Coach Thompson in football and all our assistants, Coach Mose in basketball, and then we have great track coaches as well. I would say that Ashland just really has a knack for hiring great coaches. So I'd say that. And I think that this team will get over the hump. Every team has believed, but like this team is like, we can't lose. Like, we're not going to lose. We have a really good senior class, and I know every senior class is probably like this, but like we're not going to lose our senior year. And I just think that I don't know, it just feels different. Seems like an extra motivation to bring a title back to Ashland this year because this kind of just feels like the year we've got a really good line. We're going to reload really well at skill positions, and then we got a really good running back, Grayson Nolan. He'll have a really good season, just a testing freak. And so I think that just this is kind of our year, and it'll be hopefully great to do that in football for Coach Thompson and just the community because we have such a good community. Like you said, our Memorial Stadium, Ashland's Memorial Stadium on Fridays are just packed, and they're just always bumping, and the atmosphere is awesome, and our fans show out to everything, and so I just say getting that to them would be awesome.
And what do you guys feel like you're going to have to do different this year that you haven't been able to do?
I don't really know. I think that our coaches do things the right way, and I think that the players do things the right way. I just think in due time that we'll get a championship. I don't know if we're gonna really change up the formula because we know it works. We just maybe have, there's been some better teams in the past couple of years, or maybe we've lost games that we shouldn't, and so I would just say kind of just doing what we've done. I think our coaches know what they're doing. I mean, I know our coaches know what they're doing, and I just think that in due time, we'll get it done. And I think that this year we kind of got the perfect storm of things going on that I think we will win it.
You, of course, look at the recruiting and how it's went for you. What's some things that you really enjoyed through your process prior to your decision? And what's
Yeah.
some things that you just wish that people would know ahead of time? And it doesn't have to be about a certain school, but I feel sometimes if you don't have the experience like you have as far as parents and
Yeah.
brothers who have went through it,
Mhm.
you could miss these little things that can make a world of difference.
Yeah. So I would the thing I just love my visits. The recruiting process is awesome. You get treated like a king for months as schools try to get you, and I just say the intentionality of the coaches of the school that you're going to or the schools that are recruiting you. That's awesome. I did get a little tired of the recruiting process at the end because it is a lot getting reached out to by a lot of coaches, and telling schools no is kind of a hard thing for me, but the recruiting process was really fun, and I just the biggest thing about me is that I just knew I was blessed to be in the position. Like I know that the Lord was able to put me in that position, and so I was really thankful for that. But the advice that I would give for other people is I would say that if you go to a smaller school, that track is a huge asset because obviously track numbers translate Class D to Class A. And so I would say that's a big one. If you can get super fast, maybe as a skill, throw it far and show your explosiveness as a big guy, that's really good. I'd say that Twitter's a big asset. I would say reach out to as many coaches as you can, follow as many coaches as you can. Post your track marks on there, post your film. That's a good thing. And then I would just say that be yourself with the coaches. Coaches really do look for personality, and they do want good kids. And so just show that you're trustworthy to the coaches, and at the end of the day, be yourself. Show your personality. Like at the Nebraska official visit, me and Kyler Kuhn, who's another big lineman recruit, we sang "Unwritten" by Natasha Benningfield or whatever, and I just thought that was funny because just I don't know, I just think that coaches like that, and they want guys who can you can be like that, and on your worst day, have still a good day in college, and so I would say that those are my few pieces of advice.
Man, that's some good things, and I really like it because it translates for the off the field, right? Like it
Yeah,
makes it where you're available for people to feel like they could talk to you, they could bring you in, they can
yeah,
have those conversations. You did say about telling coaches no, how that's hard.
yeah,
But did you learn through the process that that also keeps doors open, keeps the fact of contacts, making those relationships just that much stronger because most coaches, yeah, they could get disappointed because you didn't choose them,
Yeah.
but they still want these young athletes to do nothing but succeed. And I say that because we just interviewed Mikey Gal on Sunday,
Yeah.
and he was very real about it, where when he was through his process, he didn't bat an eye towards D2 or whatever because he thought it was D1 or bust.
Yeah.
And he found out how that hurt him in the long run
Mhm.
instead of just being honest with these coaches of going, thank you for the offer, but here's where I'm really looking towards, and
Yeah.
keep those
Mhm.
doors open for that opportunity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. So my brother Brett, I'm gonna tell a story. My brother Brett was a great player, and he went on to have a great college career. But he was originally committed to Minnesota. He had multiple Power Five offers. Originally committed to Minnesota. Things fell through, and he told a lot of teams, no right away. Kind of like you said, he closed doors. And he had Ohio University and UCF. He had a great career at Ohio. He loved his experience there. But I do think it did hurt him to, say no. So that's one thing he said, like, especially early in your process, don't close any doors because you never know what's going to happen. And so but yeah, that's awesome. Just being honest with coaches, like how you're feeling, and yeah, keep those doors open as long as you can. But just at the end, when you're telling coaches no after you've built a relationship with that's kind of the flip side. Is once you've built a relationship with that coach, it's sometimes it's beyond football, like it's just human to human, like you respect them as a human. And there's all the coaches really that offered me were just good people, and so it's tough telling them no because they've invested all this time in me. But at the end of the day, yeah, like you said, they really respected me, so they do want what's best for me. And so I just think that that's kind of the beauty of the recruiting process, is that you just build these relationships with these coaches.
Of course, you made the big decision to stay home and follow in the legacy, but also create your own
Yeah.
with Nebraska. And you look at some of those that you turned down. Iowa was, of course, across the way wanting you real bad. And you look at this. What was one of the big things that really tied the knot for you in Nebraska and making this where you wanted to be? Because as we've already talked about, your brothers didn't make all the same decision and come right to Nebraska.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing only by everything you've said, and your dad, of course, loves that you're coming, but also respects you for you
Yeah.
and said, wherever you go, I'm going. Not saying he would buy Iowa gear, okay? I'm not saying that, but he would respect the decision on
Yeah.
what you decided.
Yeah, my parents were such rock stars in my recruiting process of, once I got that Nebraska offer, they were so pumped. And obviously it was emotional for my dad even. But they just wanted to go where I thought was best for me. And at the end of the day, it was Nebraska. Like, I didn't commit there at all because of legacy. I committed there because I think what Coach Rule and now Coach Wade is building. I think Coach Wade just, what he's going to build at Nebraska, Nebraska fans should be excited, because he's been a great coach with less resources. And I think that what he can do at Nebraska is, with the offensive line, is Joe Moore Award potential. And so I think that's awesome. But just not having that pressure for my parents to commit to Nebraska. It's kind of like when we're talking about, if my dad like forced me to play football. Like, maybe if he's like forced Nebraska, I wouldn't want to go to Nebraska. And so just him kind of like leaving that open for me, and like genuinely doing that, like not really being biased for a school. Maybe in his heart he was biased for Nebraska just because that's his alma mater. But I would say that him being super open about, like, hey, if you go to Iowa, like, we support you 100%. And if that's your best decision, obviously my decision was Nebraska, and he supports that one, of course. But I just say that he was super, encouraging in my recruiting process, and kind of helped me be where I am today.
If you look back at the, past 16 years or what you can remember, and you think of Husker football,
Yeah.
being a kid of a father who played for him, there's probably a lot of talk in the background of what they feel the program is, going ups and downs and ups and downs. And
Yeah.
we've had Monte Cristo on here. We've had Mike Erickson, Matt's dad on here.
Yeah.
We've been able to share kind of their thoughts. It's always hard. What was the atmosphere like for you around Husker games when it came to things that weren't going in the right direction, and the program might not have been doing what people thought they should do. How was that for you to still grow the love for Nebraska and make that an opportunity?
I mean, we always have just known like there's no place like Nebraska. Like we know what Nebraska's been, and I feel like no matter like the lows we've had, which were in the past, that it's like we'll get back to those glory days just because of the people. The people in Nebraska are so awesome, and so we'll find the right head coach. And I do think Coach Rule, that's Coach Rule, and I think that we'll find the right line coach, which is Coach Wade. And now I think Nebraska is really trending upwards. And so I think that we'll shock a lot of people in the next few years. But I'd say like even through the lows that in the previous years that I mean, my family hasn't really batted an eye. Like we know that Nebraska will be fine. The people will recover, and the team will use it as fuel and be hungry.
You of course talk about the coaching staff. Did Raiola have any communication with you through the process of last year, or what was that status for you?
Not really. I got invited to a game day. It was kind of more of an in-state guy game day, just to kind of see, and I didn't really hear anything after that. So not really. I think maybe Coach Raiola just had a different style or different plan in mind, which is all right. I respect Coach Raiola as a O-line coach. Obviously, he's but the first week Coach Wade came in, he offered me, or the first couple weeks, and so I thought that was really cool. But I mean, all respect to Coach Raiola, but I didn't really get recruited by him much.
You of course see what's going on with the 2027 class.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a part of it. What's some of the things that you noticed as a player that was looking to find a home prior to finding your home, as far as the social media that's very loud out there? I mean, we've had Trey on here, we've had Tay, and those two. I mean, I know this was even before they came to Millard South. We had them on here to allow them to really push what they were pushing out there.
Yeah. I'd say that, that's played a decent part. Like that's played a big part actually. Like the fact that I could play offensive line and protect the number one quarterback in the nation and play for some of the best receivers, one of the best running backs, and then play alongside some of the best offensive linemen in the country. I think that's awesome. Like I think that's a great thing, and that I think that the brotherhood is already great. Like you see those guys on social media, and you see what those guys are saying and how bad they want players. And I know Trey reached out to me a couple times, and just kind of feel like that brother love, like between the 2027 class, and just obviously once I get there, the relationship will be built more because we'll be, practicing with each other every day. But that's something that really excited me. And so I just think that brotherhood was big.
Matt Erickson, of course, another in-state offensive lineman. Yeah. I think it really builds that trust factor of what you guys have been through. What's been your experience with Matt?
Yeah, I've talked to Matt a couple times. Talked to him at State Track just a little bit, and talked to him at a couple visits. We haven't really been in touch too much, but I think that we'll build, a relationship in the coming months, and obviously when we both report to Nebraska. So. But Matt, obviously respect him. He's a great offensive lineman. He's had an offer from Nebraska since he's a freshman. That's something I thought was really cool. And kind of even looked up to him a little bit. Like, man, I want to earn myself an offer. So, yeah. So I just say that's kind of been our relationship thus far.
That's what I like about it, is it takes those little things that can add fuel to that fire. And I think you've said it multiple times, some people take it as a hate, or they feel like they're getting hated on, instead of going, I can do that. I can do that. I'll do that. Mm-hmm. When you look as far as your style as an offensive lineman and everything that you guys do at Ashland-Greenwood, what's some comparable things that Coach Wade has talked to you about that makes you feel comfortable, where the transition should go easier than it would be if you weren't doing what you're already doing?
Yeah. Coach Wade just loves athletic linemen. Like he likes guys that can run, and he likes guys that can, move with linebackers and the really fast ends. And I'd just say that's kind of my game. That's always been my game, is being able to reach guys, being able to use my speed in a block to just, put them on their butt, and to use all that power and force. And so that's been the biggest thing, is just that I'm a guy who can move for pretty good for my size. I'm about 280 right now. And, I feel like I'm moving the best I ever have. With this this whole thing, I've been, speed training and doing offensive line training overtime and, working my legs so much. And so I just say that being able to move and our offense at Ashland-Greenwood, I play left tackle and we do like a lot of skip pulling. We do a lot of outside zone. And so that really helps with that. Coach Thompson's just got a great scheme, and Coach Bronick, our line coach, has done a great job with technique. And so I would say those are kind of the comparable things with Coach Wade's offense.
Well, of course, pickleball also helps with that speed and movement.
I love pickleball. You gotta be twitchy to play pickleball. It's almost like you're pass setting out there to go get the ball. There was a couple. I was playing pickleball earlier, and there was a couple of rallies where me and my friend, he was hitting it across the court, and you're kind of in that pickle where you're hitting it and you don't even know where it's going, but then he hits it on the other side and you're sprinting, and it was super fun. So you got to be twitchy for sure. You got to know how to move.
But it's those type of activities that I think like some people are sometimes either scared to do instead of understanding, kind of like you said, even with track, like if you're not taking advantage of the opportunities, and of course it doesn't always mean like spending a whole crap ton of money. I mean, I think you could, if you really wanted to, probably find a set for pickleball. It's a cheap set, but I'm sure you could get one for $10 that you got a paddle and a ball. And
that's all you need,
and still be able to do what you do.
Yeah, I've never been to like kind of like you said, I've never really been to a track club, and I've never really gone to an outside coach. My brother and my brother Brett and my dad threw in high school, so they've kind of been my coaches. And while they may not know like all the insane techniques, I started when I was in like second grade, just even getting a shot put in my hand to try to get that technique down, and it really does help your explosiveness and kind of like the force of like using your momentum and then shooting that through your hips, which is like the biggest thing as an offensive lineman. If you got good hips, like you can block anybody. And so I think that's been like the shot put and discus and track has probably been like the biggest thing in getting to me where I am today. And yeah, like you said, you don't need all this fancy stuff. I wouldn't be scared at all. I would start shot put and discus and pickleball as fast as you can.
You look across the way, and of course, when you think of skilled position, there's a lot of camps. There's a lot of things that people go to. There's a lot of activities. When it comes to linemen, what's been some things that you've been able to find to get involved? What's some camps that you've really enjoyed? And what's some maybe some outside help outside of the family or outside of Ashland that you've been able to help you?
If I'm being honest, I would say we haven't really gone to outside things because I feel like we kind of do have the resources in our family. My brother Brett, great offensive lineman, he's a center. So I've just worked with him, honestly. I've worked with him in football and track, and he'll take some of the credit of me, getting Division I offers, and I credit almost all of it to him because without Brett, I would not be the athlete that I am today. And so I really haven't really gone to camps, or I didn't go to like an outside trainer. It's kind of just been Brett and then track.
How were you able to handle that part of the training with your brother and not be able to take it to a level to where you can't have success from it? I think I say this because I coached at Omaha South when Noah Fant was there, his brother Chris was coach.
Mm-hmm.
And many don't know, and I've said it on my show, we kicked Noah off the field. Like we kicked him physically off the field, leave his pads there because him and his brother got into it. And I think those are moments that will either make or break you as a athlete. And when you make it, that's when that turn up happens. And it's a thing that some people get afraid of because they're like, it's my brother. I should be able to have this. But he's been there. He's done that. He's giving you everything he can give you for you to take it or leave it, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. I would say that, me and my brother Brett have definitely got into it a couple times. Like, with it being your brother, you get really comfortable. Like maybe I think my way's better, which it's not, but maybe I just get emotional at the time. But he's just been such a trooper and like, no, I'm right. And then he keeps, he's really patient with me. But we've gotten into it a couple things. And I'd say the biggest thing is sometimes when I don't think I'm at where I should be. And I see all the success my brother had. It's just maybe some like, I got to get to where he's at. And so that kind of maybe makes me, say things emotionally to him. And so, I would say that's kind of been a thing we've gone through.
Of course, when you think of this process and you think of everything that you've been doing, What's the key things that is preparing you for this senior season that maybe you have done a little differently this last year? You get one more ride with the teammates, you get one more ride to go with everybody. What's kind of been your change this senior as you prepare for that senior season?
I'd say the biggest thing has been my nutrition and sleep. That might be something that I didn't take super serious in my younger years, but I know that, man, I'm going to go be playing with every athlete that's going to go play at Nebraska is the best athlete at their high school. So how do I separate myself? And I think those are two little things that really help. Doing those things, and then also I think that as a freshman, one of the biggest things I did was start stretching every night. And that's been something where it's like now I can sink into my hips better. Now I can, explode out of a squat more. And so I've, continued doing that. And honestly, the number one thing that I've done is in the past few months is just try to enjoy every moment because you don't get these high school moments back. And so just enjoying that, I think, will help me, slow time down a little bit and, just kind of keep enjoying the process of getting better and, enjoying my high school guys well last year. Hello? Uh-oh. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, it's me. It's not you. There we go. Ooh.
That's bad.
Sorry about that.
You're good. It's all right.
All right. So as I was turn that off. All right, as I was saying.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's weird because I hear an echo, but that's me.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No, but anyways, as I was saying.
Yeah.
When you're preparing for your senior season,
Yep.
what's the legacy that you will be leaving?
I would say that I just want to be someone kind of like you said earlier, that the little kids can look up to, like I did as when I was a kid. And I think it kind of sounds cliche because that's what everyone says, but when you do get to this position, you do want to give back to those kids, and you do want those kids to look up to you, and you do want the future of the program to be in good hands. And so I would just say that trying to be a example vocally and just with the way I do things for the kids that are coming up.
Now, of course, the Husker side.
Yep.
What should Nebraska fans be ready for when Barrett gets that opportunity to move up and comes to Nebraska? Of course, is it something where you're going to get there in the spring? I know that's not always an option. Is it something that you are also going to try to get yourself early? I know the whole atmosphere of college is changing now, right? With
Yeah.
you have 5 years.
Yeah.
You and that whole red shirt stuff is all gone. What's kind of changed for you in these past couple weeks with all those announcements?
I would say that actually really benefits me because maybe I get on the field as a special teamer my freshman year. And so I think that's been really cool, but I'm not going to really enroll. I'm going to finish out basketball and I'm going to finish out track. And I do think that offensive linemen do take time to develop a little bit. And I think that I'm a developmental guy. So I think that getting there in this summer, I mean, I'm obviously going to work my butt off in high school lift, and then I'm going to go down to workouts on just to watch, practice and stuff when I'm in the spring. And so those are some things I'm going to do, but I'm going to finish out my high school career. And then, but when I get there, I'm going to, work as hard as I can, try to become the best offensive lineman I can, and then hopefully see the field as early as I can.
Now, we've talked a lot and gotten through a lot of the football side of Barrett. What's the outside of Barrett that keeps you where you're able to stay even keen and not really make yourself where you hate a sport or the grind? I know you said how important the grind is for you, and
Yeah.
you're willing to do the grind, but how do you keep yourself even kill?
I would just say the number one thing is just the Lord and just reading the Bible. And, that's kind of just been my biggest motivator, and how I'm put on this earth for a reason. And doing this will hopefully allow me to get a platform. But then also, like, just doing it with buddies, finding a group of guys, finding a brotherhood, kind of like you talked about the 27 class. Like my high school, we all just love to work. And it's just so awesome in the weight room to see guys, hitting PRs and screaming and sweating. And so I just think that's so cool. And I don't know, something about me, maybe I'm weird. I just love the feeling of getting better at things. And so if I feel a little faster, if I feel a little stronger, if I feel a little more balanced, that's something that it's like a dopamine shot to me. And it's like, all right, tomorrow I'm going to start working even harder and I'm going to get better at this thing. And so I would just say that maybe you just kind of living in the moment and not taking an outside perspective in like, man, I'm working so hard, I'm tired. I would just say that just, hey, I'm going to do this next thing right, and I'm going to build this good habit and this good habit and stay to it. I would just say that's kind of what I've done.
Well, we'll give this next question to Matt. He's asking what your PR is in squat and bench.
Okay, so my squat is around 500 pounds. And then my bench, the thing about this thing, so my cast, so I broke my wrist my sophomore year in track. And so I was benching around in the 300s then. But I haven't really been able to bench heavy because this has been broken since my sophomore year, and we've kind of had to battle through it. So I would say probably around the 300s mark, but squats more around 500, hang cleans more around 315, 320. So those are my PRs, Matt, in case you're wondering.
What's causing the hand issues? What's some things that you can relate it to? Is it the fact of overworking or?
Yeah, so we don't really know. So my sophomore year, I'll tell the story. My sophomore year in track, my wrist was just killing. Like I couldn't even throw in practice anymore. And I would say I'm a pretty tough guy, but I would throw in meets and I finished out the season, got fourth in state, my sophomore year, and then second in the discus. And so we went to physical therapy during the season, and and we talked to a lot of people, and I got a lot of opinions, and kind of my fault. We never really got an X-ray, but they're kind of were thinking it's just tendonitis because it's very rare that you don't like. Usually, when you break the scaphoid bone, you break it by falling and landing weird, or like it's usually like a fighting thing where you fight in your wrist, whatever. It's not usually from the shot put. So they were like, it's probably just tendonitis. And so we did PT kind of on and off for a year, did football through it, thinking it was tendonitis, did basketball through it, just going through a lot of pain. And then track came around the next year. And after the first meet there on the shot put, it's like, man, it's killing me. And so my physical therapist, she's awesome. She was like, let's just go get an X-ray. Let's rule out a break. Like we don't really know what's going on. It's not getting any stronger. It's not getting any better. And the doctor was like, "Yeah, man, it's been broke for a year. Sorry to tell you that." And so I went through all that, and it was broke that whole time. And so I was wondering, like, I could barely even hold the bar on a bench press. And when I hang cleaned, I had to like just tape it up so I could catch it. And so we finished out the track season, had a pretty good track season, and then we got surgery right after, and it's healing really well. So we're really grateful for that, and that we didn't really make it too much worse. But that it was kind of a crazy story, and one that's kind of fun to look back on and tell people. But I do think that it might be a blessing in disguise because if I didn't do my sophomore track season, maybe I don't get recognized with my throws, and if I didn't do my junior year of football, that's the big year for recruiting. Then I probably wouldn't be in this position. So we're actually pretty glad that we waited this long, and so that's been really fun.
All right, Tyson Terry Jr., way to go.
No, he was on a torn ACL. That's way
Dude,
more
I know
tough.
that the worst is when, I got to interview him and just knowing like that was what he was going through the whole time prior, like
I bet that was terrible.
Dude, to wrestle a heavyweight at that, like
and
it's not
win
even
and win.
light
No,
and win.
it's
Like
it was insane.
that's
That's a
oh
crazy
man.
story.
Now, of course, man, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything
Yeah,
that you've
thanks
been
for
able
having
to
me on.
share.
Yeah.
And I think for Husker fans, hopefully you're looking at this and you're seeing besides legacy, because we've had legacy players, we still do have some that are there. It's just the realness of them wanting to be here. And
Mhm.
when you look at all the social media, how or who has kind of guided you on how to accept the way that social media is and know what you can or shouldn't do or don't do. How's your social media game been?
I would say that I'm not really like great with social media. So I try to post, maybe my throws and my film, but I try not to be out there too much. And I look at a lot of Twitter. And so I kind of copy some guys and what they do. Twitter's a big one. And then, yeah, so I would just say copying other guys and then trying to be as low profile as I possibly can while still getting recruited.
Now, did you experience and this is why I push myself the way that I do when it comes to athletes, especially of your age, not trying to interview until you make the decision.
Yeah.
Just how Husker fans unfortunately treated Noah. Did Iowa fans or did you have any hate stuff come through when you did not choose a school?
I actually had a lot of comments when Hayes Fawcett posted my commitment. I didn't get the notifications about the comments, but I looked at a lot of them, and some of them I just laughed at. I don't really care. I don't really care what Iowa fans thought when I didn't commit there. I really appreciated the way their coaches treated me, but fans are going to be fans. They're going to heckle guys.
Yes.
I got heckled, and it's all right. I just kind of sat back and laughed because when I look at other guys and they get hate comments, I laugh at that. So I just looked at my own and like, that's really funny. Like, that's crazy. Like, this dude needs to just stop commenting on high school kids stuff. Like, I thought that was funny. So it was actually like entertainment for me, honestly.
And when you look at like what does high school kids really feel like and how have coaches talked to you about maybe star ratings? I'm not big on them because
Mhm.
I've kind of seen where a kid has a good day, has a bad day. Like
Yeah.
but I understand they have their place. It's just not my place. What has
Yeah.
kind of been that style for you guys and kind of how have you heard even coaches talk about it?
I think that coaches don't really care. At least the schools that I really talk to, and I don't think it means anything. I think that it's just kind of like maybe to gauge. Uh, I mean, it might play a factor into how good you are. Like maybe how good you are as you're 5 star, but I think there's 3 star guys that are could be 5 star guys, and so I don't pay any attention to the stars. I don't really think that coaches do either, to be honest. And um, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about that. I'm not a huge guy who goes into stars, and I didn't really care how many stars I had. I think it's kind of based off your offers and the schools you're committed to, not really how good you are. Like if I was a 5 star and I committed to an FCS school, then they probably wouldn't keep me at a 5 star. I just think that that's kind of dumb. It's not really how talented you are. It's just kind of your status. So I'm not a huge fan of them.
I like that. I like that. It's a view one that means a lot, and I hope one kid or one parent might watch this and just take that snippet from it because that's all that we're always trying to do is take one thing of where kids are making it, and
Yeah.
it isn't easy. Don't get me wrong; it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard
No.
work. There's a lot of dedication to who Barrett is,
Yeah.
but you don't let the things that are uncontrollable change who you are, make
No.
you do things that you don't want to do because
Yeah.
especially once you hit that send, you can't take that back.
Yeah.
Someone has
It's
seen it,
true.
someone has read it, someone has
Yeah.
done something.
Yeah. I mean, don't let your stars define you. If anyone's listening, don't let your stars define you. All you can do is work as hard as you can and try to get noticed. But if you're a 3 star or you're a 5 star, don't let it get to your head. Just put your head down and work and, commit to the school that feels like home.
Well, Barrett, once again, I greatly appreciate you joining the show. Of course, I
Yeah.
think you're going to have the same saying as your quarterback, future quarterback said, Trey Taylor. They are not losing to Iowa ever,
No, no. Come on
ever
now.
again.
Nope. wow.
Once that 27 class gets in there, and I know we'll be watching, but I of course will hopefully get that opportunity to come back out to Ashland-Greenwood and
Yeah,
see, and just a little tidbit, next time you see your AD debt,
yeah.
Detterding,
That
tell him
everything's a go.
tell him K DuB says hello, because when I coached at Omaha South, that was my guy, that's my
I
G,
love Betterding. He is the
dude.
GOAT. He lifts at my dad's gym. He's jacked. He's awesome. Like, he's a great dude.
And when I'm going to be honest, when your athletic director is showing you how to be that athlete,
How to
you
look.
just want to be a part
Holy.
of it and you want to follow it.
Yeah, you do. He is a dog.
Like, so shout out to Coach Det. I know he ain't coach to you, but that was
No.
his name when I was around him. And dude, that dude's just real. It was awesome to see him. I got to see him, I think, when you guys won the basketball championship 2 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And then of course when I came out there, he's like, "Oh man, how'd you find a way out here?" I said, "Hey man, I got the invite,
We
So
got to get him a Husker headband. He's always wearing the Miami headband.
yes,
I'm getting him a Husker headband. No more being a Miami fan. You live
no
in
more
Ashland, Nebraska.
Miami.
We bleed red.
That's right. That's right. Well,
Yes, sir.
remember, like, share, follow, do all those things. Thank you again to Character Chronicles. You can check this out. This is under their podcast section up at the top, down at the bottom. And this episode might be on the front page as soon as I get it posted over there for them as well. And also, we cannot thank it enough. StreamYard is brought to you by the Omaha Beef as they're preparing for 2027 season. You know what I do. I do all their social media. I rebrand a lot of their things as far as their podcasts and all that. So make sure to check it out, like, follow, share, and always remember, especially at the end of this one, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
The standard is the standard. We set the standard.
Again, my guy.